Happy holidays. Today is the 24th, and I got some code. However, there's still some tweaking that needs to get done. So let me just go through this here first. I'll start at the top, the VWAP. So this obviously is only going to work if you have VWAP, a lifetime license of Ninja. If you don't, it's not going to work anyway. But anyway, I have the zone. I have it on because I like to stay away from VWAP. And my zones are these right here. So obviously, if we're going long, it's a stay away from 10 ticks, and then -20 if we're underneath the VWAP. We don't want to go into it, and then vice versa for short. If you don't want to plot the zone, you could just turn it off. But I obviously like the zone. If you turn off altogether, then it's going to turn off everything, and you don't need to turn that off also because it's going to turn it off. So when VWAP's on, you have the choice of plotting the zone or not. In any event, I have this set for the bands of 0 or none because I just don't need to see them. I don't really enough lines. I don't like lines. So that's really about it. Oh, my occupancy is 10. I just want it a little shaded a little bit. I have my construction orange color that I like. And then I have it just the length of it is just eight bars. It's good enough. I just want to see a little flag there to stay away from that. Now this works. So it will not take a trade if it falls within this zone, and that works. The next one, though, however, does not. Now, I have this one on also, and the distance of this zone is going to be 20 ticks from the high or the low. And I have, again, eight bars of zone. I don't need really more than that. That's fine. And again, my 10 opacity for my construction orange. So the problem is it doesn't work. So what you're going to see here is under setups, group G, I'm only doing setup 9. That's what I'm working on, setup 9. It's based on a trend trade. And I'll go into the details in that in just a minute, but it's based on a trend trade. The continuation is a little different logic, and a breakout is a little different, obviously, so is a reversal. So what you're going to see here is it's going to take these trend trades, but because of it going into the high or the low of the day, it could be classified as a breakout, and we don't have the logic. This 9A should stay away from it. This setup should stay away from the high or the low of the day. However, it doesn't, so that's why I'm plotting it. If I had this on and the logic were done on there, and if it qualified to do a breakout, then it would override the high of the day. Even though you have it on, it will override it, assuming you have this on, and trip. So in this case, I don't have the logic in here, and we're only dealing with this. So when you see it get near the high and the low of the day, you actually have to kind of pause it if you're not interested in taking it, because the logic for this particular setup is not supposed to be there. So that's for the setup. As far as the EMAs, I just have them turned off. It's 10, 20, 50, 100, or 200. So if you want to see the EMAs, you can just plot them. Now these 3 and 4 give you the option to choose different types of bars, but obviously I'm using the 12-4 Renko, Ninja Renko, so I'm obviously going to use the 50. And I guess I could turn them on just so you could see them. I don't really care to see them myself, but anyway, so without further ado, let me just start this right now. So here's the other thing. The under entry trigger. This is not working either. They're offset a little bit, and they're not exactly done. He wanted to get this done for the holidays, which I have it, and it's working. It's not doing I don't know if he says he's looked at it and double checked that it's not doing double entries again like it was. However, the market's closed. I never had a problem in sim or market replay, but in live data, I'd have two on, and it would put 4 on, or sometimes it would put 1 on, sometimes put 3 on, so it was weird. He says that's fixed, but of course, not being in a live market, working on live conditions on a live account, I can't test it. All I could do is market replay, and that always did work. And sim worked also. It was just live data where I actually had to go to the broker and come back. So that's, I'll have to wait to see if it tests. So, but for right now, if you want to play around with it over, because he won't be back until the 3rd. So we got a week to play with this before anything's going to happen. And so I've just got my notes going. And so if you guys want to, or gals, beta testers want to play around with it, you can. But this is not working, so I just zeroed it out. And because that's not working, and I'll show you when we get in the setup, I have to alter my trade management. So this is not the original trade management that should be here, and there too. So it's this one. I turn this one off, and we're just gonna have to kind of fudge it right now until I get it fixed. So anyway, let me turn it on. Oh, incidentally, the skew is still going to be the 209. It's 209 CL Ninzarenko 124 Ninzarenko, and then my email address is just generic right now for right now. But this is the one that I will send in the download file. And when you are asked to, if you want to override that, you want to say yes. If you want to keep the one you have, you got to rename it to something else, because this one's going to come in like this with this skew label, title, whatever you want to call it. I call it a skew. But it's gonna come in with that. So you definitely want to override the one that you have, because I had to tweak it for this. So without further ado, okay. So you can see here we're starting at midnight, and the high, the low, and the VWAP are all pretty much kaj together. So let me put it. I'll just put it in auto mode in case there is a trade, and I will just cruise along here. And once this spreads, once it opens up a little bit more, you'll be able to see it a little bit more. So the reason why I don't need it, see, I've got all these moving averages on, but they're not needed. I think it's just too many. So I'm actually probably going to turn them off. But just so I'll explain them to you real quick. Just let me get out of here. Okay, so now we're starting to spread out. Now you notice the low of the day is right here, the zone. So if there were a proper setup right here, it would take it, because this no trade zone is not working. So that's the one you'll probably have to come over here and hit pause if you don't want to take it, because the conditions is not correct. You could see here the VWAP. Oh, and then I've got a zone. Oh, I haven't tested that one. I got to test that one. The zone is around the 200, so I want to stay away from the 200 also. But the VWAP and 200, I notice, are kind of together a lot. Okay, so here's the high of the day. Should stay away from that. So let me go over the moving averages real quick. So there's number 1, 2, 3, 4. So number 1 is the 10. Here's the 20. The line is the 50, and then the big dots is the 200, and that's got the zone around it. It's probably getting mixed up with VWAP zones, but anyway, there's double zones there to stay away from. So once it spreads out a little bit, you'll be able to see it a little bit more. You know what? Let me just turn those off. All right, now I'll just take a second. They're just too many. Okay. There we go. It's a little cleaner. Okay, so you definitely don't, and this is an automatic mode, so you don't even need to, and anytime you come back from changing settings, it's always going to default to manual and pause. It's the way it's designed. So you got to switch it over to auto and then unpause it, or pause it. Like if you're right there, you don't want to take a trade, make sure it's paused. But I'll turn it on for now. So the way the logic is supposed to work on here is, regardless if you have them on or not, it's not going to take the trade in the auto mode. That's more visual for manual mode if you're taking it manually. But in this case, I'm plotting them only because I am kind of doing a semi-automated type of thing. So actually VWAP is working, so I could probably turn that off anyway. Anyway, so let me, here, you know what? I will do that. Let me turn off VWAP here. VWAP. There. Okay. So back, manual, auto, go. I will leave this on only because I want to see it. So there, it's a lot cleaner. So it's on auto, And I'll show you what's going to happen with the trigger and how it's wrong and how I had to adjust. So as soon as I get something here. Now this particular, don't know what happened there. Oh, my background's on, so I'll hit F5, reset it. When I calculate, maybe I'm just going too fast. Why isn't it working? Oh, why is it off? I don't know what happened. Okay, that's interesting. Wonder if I could duplicate that. All right, maybe it's just a fluke or a duplication. I don't know. Anyway, so this particular setup is going to happen inside here. Anytime you get to here, it no longer turns into a 9A setup. It turns into a breakout if different rules apply. And in this case, we don't have those rules, so we don't know. So, but you could see here the high of the day is these shark teeth. And if you have the high of the day, your entry trigger, well, see, here's the entry trigger. And you see we're 33 ticks away from that. So that zone is only 20 ticks in length. So you would have been okay, but this is wrong. Let me show you that real quick, and I'll show why I had to alter. Here is the execution right here. And it's supposed to be on the bar close, so which would be right here, which is fine, and then one tick after. However, the enter trigger is not on the open. So all the kind of math internally is being done by the entry trigger. And that's like 10 ticks or 12 ticks or something, 14 ticks from the trigger itself. So you see how right now my old logic, or the logic that it should be, is going to be based on this trigger, which would be like right here, or maybe it should be like right here. So let's say, for instance, the initial stop would be at the entry trigger plus, or negative, I should say, behind it was, I think I have to look it up, but I think it was like 16 or something like that. Well, now that the entry trigger is here, I had to adjust for that. So that's wrong. So the entry trigger needs to be up there. Because that's how things get calculated. What else was I going to say? Okay, so let's talk about the breakout here. If you're interested now, first of all, the background colors. You're not going to get squat unless the background colors are green or red, and that's a professional term, squat. So you're not going to get nothing. So if you do have a green background in this case, and you weren't in, you could, on these pullbacks, there's some criteria. Now, again, this is a breakout, so it's really not a continuation. But if it were, let's see if I can find one, like right here, you've got a green background, you're away from your high of the day, and this pullback is a total of 19 ticks. So you're 19 ticks away on this pullback. So on a close of a bar, your entry could have been right there if you just want to hit buy market. You could have just hit buy market if you had your finger on the trigger, and as soon as you get that. Now, if you go down further than that, it's going to go into a reversal bar, and if you have two reversal bars, it voids it all out, so you don't want to do it. You're allowed to have one reversal bar, but on the second one, maybe even two if things look good. But on the third reversal bar right here, on this third one, if it doesn't go up and trip the trade, then you're done. So, and again, I say this, in this case, it'd be a breakout trade anyway, but in this case, we're far enough away that it's an actual continuation. So in this case, it would have been okay to go ahead and place your order right there on that bar, right when it breaches that level. So there would be your order manually if you wanted to do it. With the green background, you're far enough away from your high or low, and you've got a wick. You've got to have the candle wick. And right now, let me go into settings here real quick. Right now, under Group G, you could see we don't have it on, but if we did have that on and the logic were ready to go, we would require a minimum of pullback, and I had it set for 8, but that's going to be changed. So if that were on with the minimal pullback of 8, then you can do it. And oh, and the other thing here real quick was under setups for this particular setup and this particular setup only. There's also, you can exclude the EMA4, which is the big 200. And I mean, obviously with the 200 in your favor, it's beneficial, but you could exclude it if you wanted to. So it all depends. And again, that's just going to be, analytics and looking at mass numbers to see, where we want to go with that. But in any event, there's the continuation right there if you wanted to take it manually. So you got to have the wick, you got to have a background color, and you got to be far enough away from your high and low. So, and then you just hit buy market or sell market, whatever the case may be. So that's really about it. Oh, and then I have my reversal bars here. Well, you see it just reverse. Okay, so here, like a continuation. Well, you're going into the high or the low, so you're not going to count that one. So it's technically not a continuation. But you can see right here, we are at the if you do not get the reversal bar entry right there, you could actually put an order there if you want to do like an add-on or something like that. You would do you could do a buy market right there, right on that reversal bar. And if it goes down any further than that, just kill it. And if it goes up and takes you, well, then you're good to go. So that's what you could do. Now these reversal bars is a separate indicator. And you can go look under those under the tools menu under reversal bars, but that's separate. I have them on because I like them. I could turn it off visually here. I got the audible off because it sometimes with all the markets it gets nuts. But anyway, I like to see it right there. You don't need to see it. The logic doesn't need it, but I just like it. And so that's that right there if you want it, but you don't need it. So you could place your order right there and go. That would, if it weren't a breakout. Now, there's other conditions for a breakout. I don't want to get into that in this video because it's a little bit too more involved. And I really want to kind of limit it to this 9A. So 9A is working with the exception of, which is a trend trade, which is the exception of the trigger math is going to be messed up. So we have to, you can see I took a picture of my, of the settings. And you can see I had to kind of alter some things around a little bit in order to make it work. So we'll do that until next year when we finally get some better logic, and then I'll be able to send that out again. But in the meantime, we could, see how it works. And so I'm at max speed. I'll just let it rip her for a little bit. There's another one. And now you can see that. Now that would have been, that trigger, that would have been a bad trade. I mean, it would have been a good trade. It would have taken it, but it would have been bad. Because you could see here, maybe not. That's the other thing that's not working. I'll just tell you that right now. So this really is not ready to, I mean, you want to play it on sim, play around with it, guys. It's fine. And check to see if something looks funky, but I definitely wouldn't be doing this on live right now. Under entry triggers. Not only that, but the invalidate from the reversal bar, that's not working. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to stay tight. We're trying to stay tight from the reversal bar. This is where we want to be right here at the reversal. You see here, we got 4 bars away. So the measurement, what I'm looking for, and again, it's not working yet, but the measurement would be the open of that reversal bar to the execution or the entry trigger. And in this case, the entry trigger would have been there. But because our entry trigger is here, it qualifies, which it doesn't. So that's why I'm saying it's wrong. So the math should be from the open of that bar to X ticks. And, whether that be, 15 or 16, I got to play around with a little bit once it's working right. But right now you could see that it tripped 20 ticks away from the reversal bar, which is kind of farther than I like to see it. I like to see maybe 2 to 3 bars max, so I have to kind of play with that. But anyway, it is what it is. So it's not there yet, but so that's really all I got. So if you want to go ahead and put on this this template, and you can play with it. I'm going to make this template. Oh, that's the other thing. I keep finding more things. These lines here. They're measurements, but they're not going to be there. So we're just trying to measure up, where it's supposed to be and what qualifies and whatnot, but then it doesn't follow through. Um, I guess he forgot to remove them. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's no big deal other than the fact that they're just kind of annoying. But you can see that, things are qualifying, but they don't. And then so eventually on the next version, those lines will be a go. So just ignore them. But you can see here's a trip. Now this one did qualify. I guess you can call them like a pre-qualifier, I guess. You can see here, again, here's a perfect example here. Now look at this entry trigger. Look how far away it is from the close. This entry trigger needs to be there. And this is what I was talking about. I had to adjust my stop because it's getting in way up there. So I had to kind of tweak it a little bit where it shouldn't be at that way. Anyway, also the fact that we probably shouldn't. Well, this one would have taken, because you see the entry trigger. The entry trigger is not in the zone. So that would have qualified because it should have given me enough room to get to my target. However, that I got in way up here, then it doesn't give me a lot of room for my target. And so this might fail. But as far as logic is concerned, we weren't in the zone, so that would have been okay if it would have tripped there, but, whatever. Enough. And of course, this one will win anyway, but, okay. Oh, by the way, I'm just running one contract. You can run two if you want, but it's just easier to just do one just for measurement purposes. I've done, here, I guess I could show you that too. I've done, so this is the spreadsheet. I'll just run it again. This is what's ultimately going to be on the web under analytics, and I like to call it DNA only because that's where Helix got its name. It's just all DNA crap, but in any event, it is what it is. It's calculating, so when it comes in, so what I did is I ran this for 5 days or something like that with some I was just playing with settings, but I'll kind of show you what I was doing here. Might take a little, and that's why we're going to the web, because when you put this file up on the web, it reduces it to a SQL file, and it's just a lot faster because this takes forever. So let me get this out of the way. Okay, so you can see I've got my A's, A, B, C, and extensions. I don't want to get into this, get a little bit too involved, but just let me go to the report itself, and I'll just pull up some trades. And so we could look at, here, let's take a good one. Here, look at 54. So trip 8. So let's go look at, let me open that up. Let's go to trip 8. Okay, so this is the beginning of the trade right here. It goes on right here at the very first one. So P&L is right there. So I'm going to look specifically at MAE. So you first get in, and you get nothing, and then it starts to come down a little bit against you, and you come down here. Now this is the end of the trade. It got me out right here, but now my extensions take over. So now I got MAEE, which is the MAE extension or the MFE extension, etc. So you can see here it picks up here, and now this isn't working right, but you can see how it's got 4, and then what happens after the fact. And you could see how, what happens after the trade got out, whereas Ninja kind of drops off and stops. This will keep going. And you can see it all the way until it, see how far it actually went. So let me go to the bottom. Let's see how far I went. Oh, 92. So in total, 92 ticks, and we got out at where did we get out? 54. So we got out at 54 ticks, and that was with the stop. It was at 82 ticks right there, and then it came back, obviously, because I trail. So it gave us 54 ticks, which still gives me an A grade. If you want to know what the grade is, you can go over to your DNA here, and this is my scale here down at the bottom. And we could change this too, depends on setup. But anyway, you know, these are all my numbers right here for my grade. So anyway, this is all going to be online eventually, and it'll be, all you gotta do is click, and you'll be able to get stuff, and we'll be able to really pull in some data from there. So in the meantime, so that's really about it. Just let me run this real quick and see. So what I'm saying is that when you start approaching this area or this area, the down, you might want to just hit pause so it doesn't take in. You're not going to get anything now anyway because it's not green or red, but the point of it is, and you can see how I like it clean, and you don't really need to see the moving averages. I have in the strategy here, oh, we're going into a new day now, orientation. The EMAs all have to be in order, so they are required. So you're not going to get anything unless they're in orientation. So that's why you don't really need to see them. I mean, you can put them on if you want, but you don't need to see them, because if they're not in sync, you're not gonna get a background color. So it doesn't really matter. So what do you need to really see? Anyway, that's my thought on it, but you're more than welcome to turn them on.